Sorry for the false start, folks. I wasn't sure if Restream was actually sending the stream. So let's start again. Yeah, there we go. It's actually up on YouTube. Alrighty, let's get this show on the road. So welcome to the Gold Guns and Guns Hour. My name is Tom Luongo. It's Friday, December 14th. Yada yada yada. Let's talk about where the world is, because the world is a mess. And a lot of things are happening in such a way that it feels like nothing is settled. Right? Or worse, that things are settling into incredibly unhealthy patterns. As we approach the end of 2018, start looking forward to 2019, we have to ask ourselves where we are and where we're going. Right? You know, who are we? What do we want? Where are we going? Right? The three basic questions that define what a human being is and who he is and what defines them, right? And it's very odd to try and keep abreast of everything that's happening, because when systems start to go into breakdown the way they're going into right now, things come at you really quick, and it's almost like, well, I want to comment on that, but I can't because it's already old news, because this thing came out and it's even worse. All you can really do is take the step back, look at the bigger picture, and say, oh, this is what's happening. And I really do want to stay away from a lot of the nitty gritty or the details, because if you wind up getting lost in them, especially of things like what's going to happen to Trump and what's going on with Mueller and what's on all of this stuff. It's impossible for one person to keep straight, no less an army of people. You read if you read, like me, if you read Zero Hedge on a regular basis, it's very obvious that one, there's like 48 Tylers, and they all have different agendas. Just to keep up the news flow, keep up with it, means being superhuman. And then it consumes you, and then you have no time to reflect on it. You have no time to even ask yourself, what does any of this mean? And then when you're in my position, look, I'm not complaining here, I took this unwillingly, but when you're in my position, you have a bunch of people waiting to hear what you have to say about a particular thing, right? That's kind of my job. So, metastable systems don't fail all at once. They fail slowly and then all at once. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And the reasons why is confidence. The reason that at the end of the day, everybody wants the illusion to stay in place a little while longer. They don't want to be snapped out of their comfy little zone. Right? It's funny. I just sat down with Camille and Sophie, and I realized the other day it's going to sound like it's really off topic, but it's actually not. So just bear with for a few. So the other day, I was flipping through media sites, because I do like to keep up with, movie news and whatnot. I don't talk about it regularly, but it's, one of the things that I do. I'm like, oh, there's a review of the new Mary Poppins movie. And I love Emily Blunt, but, that's neither here nor there. I'm like, that's interesting, but I hadn't actually. So I read the review, and I was like, it was a glowing review over on Cinema Blunt. I'm like, and I stopped and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen all of Mary Poppins. And if I have seen all of Mary Poppins, I certainly watched it when I was like 6. And then I probably only watched half of it because it was on television. And then I had to go to bed because, I had a very early bedtime. My mom was crazy. So I was thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever seen Mary Poppins. I mean, I remember singing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious as a kid. I remember all of these. I remember the songs. I remember all this stuff, but I don't think I've ever actually seen the movie. What's the movie about? The movie is about a very typical hero cycle. It's a very typical archetypal story of a couple living in denial of their reality. Father and the mother, both of whom are not at all involved with their children at all, leaving it off to the raising of the children off to the nanny. and neither of them want to, spend the entire movie refusing to be broken out of their comfy worldviews, which they think are orderly. And they're not. There's chaos all around them. Archetypal stories always tell this story. That's what archetypical stories or archetypal stories are about. They're about the breakdowns of institutional order. They're about the breakdown of society as it devolves from order to chaos. And all it takes is one radical idea. In this case, a spoonful of sugar, to change everything. And that's where we are that's what happens. And then in the course of, in typical Disney fashion, over the course of 3 days, everything changes. So, smash the like button. It'll help Tom's channel. Thank you very much. But, so what's really interesting is that systems just keep staying on the way they are. They know there's something wrong. The parents know there's something wrong. They've been through 10 nannies in 4 months or something like that. Because the children are ungovernable. Why are the children ungovernable? Because they want their parents and the parents are absentee, right? Well, again, like everything else, this is where we are here. The institutional orders hold together, seemingly okay, until one day goes, no, the emperor has no clothes. No, I want my money out of the bank. It's interesting, I don't even remember there being a bank run in Mary Poppins. I know I'd never actually seen the movie. So now I want to go see the new one, which I will go to, simply because, well, Emily Blunt. I'll be blunt here. I can't believe she'll ever be able to hold a candle to Julie Andrews, but if she does, well, then she's the greatest actor. Because, okay, so but all of this is what we're living through. It's what we're feeling. Okay, it's why we all sat here and clung for months, knowing in the back of our minds that Donald Trump didn't have a plan. That Donald Trump was not what he had advertised this to be. We decided to read into his campaign promises that which wasn't really there. Because we needed to. We wanted to believe so bad, right? Same thing with everything else. Same thing with Brexit. Even though we knew that the vote wasn't enough. Even though we knew the vote wasn't enough. Even though we knew the 20 minutes after the votes were tallied that the EU was going to turn this into an entire and complete shit show. Because they had to. And the British deep state would give the job of betraying Brexit to the most incompetent woman in the world, or by the opposite view, the most competent woman in the world. I wanted Trump to go after everyone. I wanted Trump to at least do something lasting. I've come to the conclusion that it would have been better, and I hate to say this, but ready? I think it might have been better had Hillary have won. At least we would have known where we stood. So, because at least we would have known where we stood. Yeah, everybody would still be in a cocoon, knowing full well that it was really all that corrupt and everything else. But come on, it can't be that bad, right? Now we know. And the guy we elected to expose it all and do something about it doesn't have a fucking clue. And so now what he's going to do is he's now going to invalidate the idea that we have any right to have access to power. He's going to by being Donald Trump in this moment in time, if he continues down the path that he's going, the left is going to crucify what's left of the non-interventionist movement. Going to crucify what's left of rational conservatism. I hate to say that, but you really start to think of the after effects of what's going to happen next now. And I know this is not popular to say. I know some of you are probably thinking, oh my God, he's way overreacting, but I'm really not. If you really stop to think about it. So, you really stop to think about it. Don't know if I'm actually going over. I am going over Periscope. Hold on, I gotta reset the chat. Just had to launch twice tonight, so I probably missed all the. For those of you on Periscope, if I haven't gotten to your comments, it's because the live stream is a little screwy getting started tonight. So, here's the gig, right? Now, this is interesting. So MG Stoyanovich says, a week or two ago, I saw talk of bringing Tony Blair back. I've been saying that since the snap elections last year, that the whole purpose of the elections was for Theresa May to lose, Labor to take over, Jeremy Corbyn to step into power for about a week until they crucify him, and then they bring Tony Blair or his clone back. Now they're just going to bring back Tony Blair. So, but this is what breakdowns do. They get violent and weird, right? I've been doing, I do twice weekly market reports for my subscribers over on Patreon, right? So I do about 20-25 minutes of a video chat. Guys, I do enough video and audio commentary a week to fill a room at this point. But I do 2 of those a week for my subscribers, and regularly I show them charts of some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Now, you guys know that in the past I've done some chart work here. I just want to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say systems that are not stable. Good evening, Tom. How are you? Okay. I'm going to just show you what I'm talking about. Give me a second to get set up, okay? I'm going to just show you a picture of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about because it's just easier that way. So hold on for just a second. No, we don't want to go there. Can't do that yet. I should have set this up beforehand. All right, I'm going to go to my other desktop. There we go. All right. So y'all, look at this real quick. So this is the Dow, right? It's a weekly chart of the Dow. So this is late last year, this year. I want you to look at these last 12 weeks. I'm going to make sure that the cursor's out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at the last 12 weeks on the chart. Look at the volatility there. Every week we're seeing 2,000 point moves in the Dow. 2,000 point moves in the Dow. By the way, the average weekly range on the Dow was less than 400 points. So we've had back to back 5 sigma moves in the Dow. This is what I'm talking about. And it's only going to get worse from here. By the way, Ryu Shiksa, you asked earlier how much gold I have to ride this shit out. Enough. I've been telling people for 5 years since I first got the job with Newsmax to take over Gold Stock Advisor. That's for times like these that they have to have cash. I may have been early on that call, but it's important to say to people, it doesn't matter. I didn't say don't invest money. What I was saying to them is think about how you structure your portfolio. Think about how you approach your portfolio the same way you approach everything else in your life. If you approach your If you approach your investing life by, playing darts every night, well, great. Got the capital to throw away, have at. Enjoy it, have fun. But if you're going to be, I don't talk about the disposition of my gold holdings in public. I don't think anybody should ever ask anybody that question. That's kind of like asking someone, how much money do you make? Not a good idea. Okay, this is a public channel. So let's keep all of this in the theoretic, shall we? I recommend to people that they own physical gold. I recommend that they understand their counterparty risks. Because when things get this weird, when we're looking at 5 sigma moves every day, then, right, but you're not a public figure, I am. It's like, trying to be polite here, Pray for Mojo. Trying to be polite. It's not one of my. I won't be doing any unboxing videos. No, it's not illegal. I don't want to. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not that. Come on, dudes. Like, you guys find me if you want to find me. It's like, no, I'm not gonna invite people into my home to come steal my frame. No, come on, don't be stupid. Shit you don't do. You don't talk about this shit in public, period. Yes, I am just some asshole on the internet. Oh, by the way, anything you hear tonight is dispensed for informational purposes only. I am just some guy on the internet dispensing opinions, not a solicitation to buy or sell securities, yada, yada, yada. No, get in the fen. Just think about it, right? Just think about asking me in my position, right? Asking anybody like that. It's a very bad question to ask. And I'm actually not going to answer it, obviously. Don't ask anybody else's live streams that you sit on because it's not a good idea. So, no offense, because I don't believe in offense, by the way. I don't believe in offense. I think you're never offended. You're angry, and now you're trying to, and then by saying I'm offended, all you're doing is putting the onus back on the other person to be responsible for how you reacted to what they said. Bullshit. They're not responsible for your reactions. You're responsible for your reactions. Your emotions are your responsibility. So, so no, I would never be offended. I may be, a little ticked off or whatever, but I can get over that. As far as guns, no, I have guns. I make no bones about that. It's called gold, goats, and guns for a reason. I think everybody should own. And yes, we're allowed to own gold in the United States. It's not illegal. I just don't talk about, holdings. So, but I will say that I think that, people should have liquid cash. So, I think you should consider yourself to be your own central bank with all the rights and emoluments thereof. Therefore, you should have some reserves, and whatever you consider those reserves are. Fair enough. Apology accepted. Whatever your needs are, you should have those covered, because, and of the 3 things, gold, goats, and guns, my goats are the things that are hardest to replace. Productive goats are hard to replace. The best way to buy gold is physical gold, because that has no counterparty risk. I mean, even the dollar has counterparty risk, right? Because it's a debt instrument that you have to pay. Ultimately, it can be called in. It's a promissory note. It's not going to be, but it is. Physical gold is something you own. It is sovereign. You traded it. You own it. There's no counterparty risk to it. None. Bitcoin has no counterparty risk. That's why I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. Liquid cash equals beer. Nice. I like that. But Scotch is a great liquid reserve. You guys are killing it tonight. Really, you really are. Thank you, because I was in a bit of I was not really looking forward to tonight, to be honest with you. Is there a substitute for real goats with something that serves the same purpose for those of us who can't have goats? I was talking specifically about my dairy goats. So, yeah, a small trade that you can use for cash to get the things that you actually, to get your basic food, and you have a supply, you have a way to get food. If you don't have the ability to grow your own food, or have the wherewithal to grow your own food, buy a goat ETF, nice. Then having a small trade that generates you cash locally. I don't know if it's knitting, I don't know if it's, raising plants, I don't know, whatever it is. Can I get a CDS on that goat ETF? No, I want a CDO of the goat ETF, and I'm going to sell it to you. I got slices. I'm going to slice it up into tranches. It'll be great. And we're going to lever it up. We're going to get a AAA rating. It'll be fabulous. Don't worry about it. Guys are killing me tonight. I love it. Get a seat. Never thought I would ever get. Meal hair on my hat. Don't ask me how that got there. All right. Try that again. The futures will be phenomenal. Drywall skills, anything. Whatever you have. Oh, the shoulder is the best part. We usually just quarter the goats and then whatever. But of the three things, gold, goats, and guns, right? I mean, I'm kind of jumping around here all over the place tonight, but let's talk about this stuff. Because, at the end of the day, it's time to start preparing for chaos. Right? The institutional order is breaking down. They all think they're still in charge. Brussels is going full bore ahead with screwing everybody, thinking that they're invincible, right? They're invulnerable. And it's all going to fall apart right in front of their eyes. It'll be great. The only thing saving Trump right now is the fact that people leading Europe are more incompetent than he is. So the underground economy is a good thing. I mean, having any kind of job thing, whatever you can do, aside from the fact that doing so builds you a local community, a local economy where you depend on each other a little. The money stays locally, and the work gets done locally, and you build connections, and you build a network of people you count on when times get hard. For years, I've had my friend Brad coming out shooting deer off my property. Brad likes to shoot deer. I like to eat deer. Brad doesn't like to eat deer. This is a perfect arrangement. He shoots it, cleans it, drops it off on my porch, packed in ice, we cut it up, and we eat it. Charge him anything for the property. I don't charge him anything to hunt on the land. He maintains his own stands. He maintains his own food plots. He shows up with coolers full of deer. But allowing that to happen, knowing that Brad has a big extended family and everything else, when we need work done on the house and I don't feel like doing it, Brad, you know a guy who does roofing? Yeah, I know somebody. I'll call. Here's his number. You call this guy. Okay. Mike will give you a call next week. Okay. Brad, you know anybody who can, kill a goat? Yeah, I do. Gary will be right over. Yeah, you know anybody who fell a tree? Yeah. Call Brad. He knows somebody. Everybody gets paid. And, and you have a network of people. I spent a couple minutes yesterday chatting with my firewood guy. I've been buying firewood off of Curtis for the last 3-4 years now. He's just up the road. It's great. Just up the road. Cheapest, best firewood in the area. I've got a wood-burning stove and a truck. He's got a backhoe and a log splitter. Puts the things in those big, he has the frames from the big wastewater containers. Fuel containers or wastewater containers. Those big, 60 cubic foot, the metal frames. He just stacks all the wood in there, takes his front end loader and dumps it in the back of your truck. You hand him $60, we're good to go. Finally sat down the other day and chatted with him. Was waiting. He was splitting logs. I was out there. I came out. Finally said, so, how you doing? The first time, I think we said more than 4 words to each other. Like, I always felt like it was an imposition going over there. But the dude's firewood was awesome, and he was right up the road, and and it was the cheapest around. So I didn't, wasn't going to get in his way or anything. But he was like, just finishing up splitting some logs, and I pop on over, and he's stopped for a second. I said, "Hey man, how you doing? What's going on? How you been?" And then he starts talking to me. Huh? Okay, and we chat for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, but because of some work that my wife is doing around, on the side, we have a line on potentially on a big load of firewood for him for free to come over, grab, and cut and split. Because the guy who's cutting these trees off this woman's property that my wife knows underbid the job severely, and he's underwater on it. Any way to help him not have to spend the money to transport the stuff away. Like, this is how you build it. This is how you build a community around yourself. Knowing somebody. Everybody should know a shade tree mechanic. Everybody should know a roofer. Everybody should know an electrician if you can't do it yourself. So yeah, this is the way things work. This is what we've done since we've been out here, and it's one of the aspects of ensuring that if things start to go bad, if the basic functions of society start to break down, well, you have a network of people that can help you. Brad's got my 90-gallon water refrigerator. I can get this back from him. So, as far as getting back to gold, I firmly believe in buying as many ounces for as little money as possible at any point in time. I like APMEX, the American Precious Metals Exchange. Used them for years. They're discreet. They ship relatively quick. They're flexible in their payments. And it all works. Never had a problem with them. 15 years of working with them. I haven't bought anything from them in the last couple of years, but whatever. Use them on and off for 15 years. They're one of the best dealers on the internet. They won't gouge you on shipping. And you can decide what you're going to do with it after that. You can hold it in an IRA. You can let a bank hold it for you. You can hold it at your house. You do whatever you want. But you should have some. Certainly with the way things are shaping up, the bifurcations I'm beginning to see in the market, gold is closer to the bottom than to its bottom than anything else is. Still don't have any comments from people on Periscope. So you people who are on Periscope, I'm really sorry. I would actually pop off of Periscope and get over here onto YouTube if you want to be a part, because I'm not seeing any of your comments tonight. All right, let's open it up for questions. It's 28 minutes in. I like animals, but I like meat more. I feel exactly the same way. We were out looking at a goat the other day because my 2 girls I only have the 2 girls right now milking, and the one's been milking for 2 years, and she's down to less than a quart a day or cups a day. And then the other girl, she just gave birth earlier in the spring, and she should milk. She was supposed to milk through the winter, while the other one got bred. And then we'd have at least one milking throughout the entire winter, but that's not working out. My buck is too short to breed the one girl, Safi, and Graza's milk is drying up. And I'm looking at Graza, and after a while, I'm like, oh shit, are you pregnant? We never actually put her in with the buck, but she hasn't come in the heat all winter, really. And I do remember the little buck getting out a couple of times, and they might have gotten it done in the 20 minutes that he had available to. Because, by the way, guys, goat sex is that fast. Little bastards are in, out, and done. Impressive, actually. Really impressive. So, but we were out the other day, looking at a couple of a new buck and a new doe. Pregnant doe, actually. So, mini Nubian, which basically looks like my myotonic Nubian crosses. They're all basically mini Nubians. But an actual mini Nubian is a cross between a Nubian and a Nigerian dwarf. It's all milk goat all the time. Whatever. But that's because those girls, pregnant, not just pregnant does, but in milk does are hard to find. And if your diet requires or is dependent upon goat milk, and you've got the land and the everything to support that, and you like having cream and you like having yogurt and cheese, and you really shouldn't eat cow's milk, and you don't want to pay somebody else $14 a gallon for goat milk, well, you raise your own goats and you milk them. So that's me. In the summer, you buy a lot of produce, eggs, and a lot of meat from the Mennonites. They're great. Yeah, my in-laws live next to up in Ohio. Sold their most of the farm that Camille grew up on to a bunch of Amish. Barter is how society functions. I agree with you. The communist countries, the Warsaw Pact, and everybody, everywhere else. We can always go back to that. Money is better than barter. A universal medium of exchange is better. It makes things work better. It makes people more efficient. It makes them happier. It makes them strive harder and everything else. It works better. Does silver have more upside potential considering the gold to silver ratio? I don't know. I normally would say at these levels, yes. But I'm going to be very reserved about my upward projections on silver in this next coming crisis, because silver is becoming less and less and less a monetary metal, and more of an industrial metal. So I don't know. Okay, I'm being honest now. I've always thought for years that silver would lead the market higher, and it would tell us first when that's happening, because usually this gold to silver ratio gets overstretched and then it snaps back. But I think we're in uncharted territory now as far as the industrial usefulness of silver. So, Orban in Hungary, did he overplay his hand, or is an incitement? I think it's an incitement. I think it's the last gasp of the Soros crowd that he's trained well in Hungary. So I don't think Orban has overplayed his hand. If you like silver, you can buy straight from the First Majestic website. That is true. You can buy directly from First Majestic Silver. They're a primary silver producer that also mints their own rounds. And I think they're reasonably well priced as well. So as just another neurotic urbanite, says RB Tools, I envy you farmer types. One day I will have my own plot of land, my own crops, and my own animals. Well, I hope you have a lot more time than I do. I do. I really do. I wish you well. I never was able to make it really work well, but I'm pretty good now at raising dairy goats, and just a handful of dairy goats. So I'm good at that now. Not really much good at anything. We grow sweet potatoes. We've got some fruit trees. And the fruit trees will start paying off once the weather settles into this new cold regime. This weird weather regime we have right now, where it's warm and it's cold, and it's warm and it's cold. I mean, the winters here have been really, really violent. Like, it's been raining a lot, and then it gets cold. Then it gets warm, really warm. Like today, it was like 65. It was like 75 degrees today. The low tonight's going to be 65. It's been raining all day. On Sunday, the high's going to be 65, and the low will be 41. And it'll be clear and dry. It's going to be crazy. What percentage of conservatives have a different negative view on Trump now compared to when they elected him? I don't know. His approval rating's 45%. I'll bet you that's accurate. What's the best type of goat to buy? Depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you want. I could spend the next half an hour talking about goats. But I'll tell you this. If you're looking for dairy goats, I would say buy a dairy goat cross. I wouldn't even start with dairy goats. I would start with meat goats because, if you kill one, it's not a big deal. And I mean, by killing them, you mishandle them. It takes a long time to learn how to become good at raising animals. Animals are not easy. And You know, we goat people. We get together and we just share horror stories of how many animals we, you know, through our own ignorance, you know, lost to, you know, the vagaries of owning animals. But if you do start with dairy goats, I wouldn't start with a high production breed. I wouldn't start with, because dairy goats put all of high quality dairy goats put all their energy into their milk. They're very susceptible to dropping dead at a moment's notice. Say about Nubians that they were born looking for a place to die. Mike Bernard says, I've followed silver for years. It's been beaten down by the big banks because of their enormous short positions. When they get broke enough, they take their finger off the scale. It will do very well. Look, I'm not going to say yay or nay about this. What I'm going to say, Mike, is that I don't disagree with you. Okay. When I made that statement earlier about silver, I was kind of distilling all of those arguments, all of that stuff that I know, because I know all of this stuff. I've been doing this for 15 years now. And I'm aware of all of that stuff. I was trying to distill it down into one really, really short answer. But you're right. The banks do have tremendous positions and short positions. And it's just, you know, I think it's a highly manipulated market, but, you know, I think it's easy to manipulate a market that wants to be in a downtrend. So should it be trading at $14.50 an ounce as opposed to, say, 20 or 25? Well, who knows? Winter in the South has gotten really strange. We're entering a grand solar minimum. And because of that, we're in a chaotic period. Should I put up the weekly chart of the Dow again? Because that looks like the temperature here in Florida. Did I hear about the nuclear-capable bombers Russia deployed to Venezuela? Yeah, they showed up and they went home. Because the United States bitched. And I'm sure that Putin got a concession out of them over something. Did we discuss the EU? No, we didn't. We can. Ask me what you want to... I'm not fed up talking about the EU. I just figured you guys wanted me to talk about something else tonight. It's almost like Trump's plan to drain the swamp is to get unjustly kicked out of office so we can drain it the hard way. Do you think that that's what's going to happen after they unjustly remove him from office? I don't. I see it I see a year from now them kicking us off the internet because they can prove that we never voted Democrat in our life. Wow, the first Majestic silver rounds are $14.50 an ounce. Oh, are they 17 an ounce? The spot is $4.50. That's not bad. I don't know Silver Eagles are usually right around that price. It all depends. What you're going to find is, what you're going to find in that market is that some things will be marked up more than others depending on, supply and demand. So. Ryu Shiksa, pray for Mojo. Goats are more productive and contribute more to civilization than the EU. Couldn't have said it better myself. Goats are awesome. They're a pain in the ass. I think the word is stroppy. They're definitely characters, but they're completely awesome. Can we talk about something more upbeat rather than all the black pills? Sure. What do you want to talk about? I've been talking about goats. I mean, how much more that you think that's black pill? That's pretty awesome, actually. I like goats. But it's 10G chest, Tom. I know. I notice how those people aren't around anymore. So, market action, dog. I haven't actually been following the Russell 2000. I mean, a lot of things have entered a bear market. At this point, I'm mostly interested in the Dow. I don't have a lot of love for the U.S. Markets. I think they're overvalued, like everybody else does. The problem is that the that Europe is such a shit show that when that goes, all that money is going to rush over here, at least for the short term. Trump's going to get a bailout from that. It may happen in 2019. I think all the banks and the Fed and everybody else are trying desperately to engineer removing Trump from office first from a failing stock market before the meltdown in Europe. They're trying really hard to avoid a meltdown in Europe. They don't give a fuck if the American markets melt down. Did you see that the yellow vest thing spread to Israel? I laughed out loud. Does the UK and France situation play into Salvini Visegrad's benefit? I do think all of that helps Salvini and the Visegrads. I saw the Polish prime minister, I think it was the prime minister, came out and said that every country should work very hard to hold on to their nation state, basically riffing off of Pompeo's speech from earlier in the day, but earlier in the week, but so but I don't know. I mean, if you look at the banks, all the banks are in bear markets. The European bank indexes are in bear markets. The U.S. banking system is in bear market. That's where you really need to know from that perspective. That's leading everything down. Have you looked into the European neighborhood policy? I did not, El Vaquero. I can honestly say. Green Penguin says, when I started watching Tom, I knew that I was idolizing Trump too much for any human. And did I help dispel that, Penguin? Because I think I hope I did. I hope I was part of that. North on 60. The 10D Chess Club seems to have run screaming because you disagree with them. That is true. And I'm trying really hard to tell the difference between them and the snowflakes like crowd. Me too. What will the Dems and the media do without Trump in office? I think they'll pretend to impeach, but won't. That's possible. They won't have anything to bitch about at that point. What they'll do then is they'll move, as always, they will continue to move in the direction of thinking that they won because they're right. And then you know what will happen? They will get their ass handed to them again, even without Trump. Is due. Never learn the lesson of 2010, 2016, 2014. They're going to take 2018 as, a mandate. As Schumer said the other day to Trump, elections have consequences, Mr. President. Trump just shot back at him. That was really good. Deutsche Bank plus Commerce Bank equals a bigger zombie bank. It's all just trying to shore up Deutsche Bank's terrible position by bringing it underneath the umbrella of Commerce Bank, which is mostly owned by the German government, so the German government can bail it out. Yeah, I didn't see that, El Vaquero, so that's really scary. This is the European neighborhood policy is EU loans, which loaning money they don't have, to non-EU countries like North Africa and Eastern Europe and the Middle East in exchange for some control of their domestic policy. Sounds like the World Bank. Trust the plan. Trust the Q plan. Q is political horoscope. The hostage situation is going to get serious. 2 Canadians taken hostage now, says Dragon Nem. If Canada is stupid enough to send Huawei CFO to the United States, Americans will be taken hostage next. You can book that. And if the Chinese were smart, they would nab Bill Browder. See, this is what would happen if I was president. All right, so Green Penguin answers my question from earlier. I knew that I would drop my opinion of Trump. Finding someone who wasn't preaching to one of the two party lines was what I was looking for. Yeah, it's ultimately the way ultimately it was the way I was looking at it. Ultimately, I just wanted Trump to be something better, and for a while you get caught up in the idea that no, really he's got a plan about something else, and maybe we all get caught up in all this stuff because we all get caught up in some of the world we want. And the world I want is a world without these dickheads, right? I know that Trump is still better than Hillary in some respects. But as I said earlier, Liz, I do think that they're going to use the fallout from Trump as a way to discredit everything that's not them. I don't know that it'll work, but I can tell you that it's going to ensure that we don't have anything close to the country or the system that we had previously. Now, again, anarchists here don't really like the system we have, but at the same time, don't want it to break down in a disorderly fashion either. Wanted it, knowing full well that the odds were long, wanted it to not break down violently. No one wants it. Yeah, I mean, if the Chinese, all the Chinese have to do is nab Browder the next time he leaves the Chinese have leverage around the world. Browder goes to the wrong country, Chinese just snap his ass up, or go to Khodorkovsky or any of them. I quit trading all the markets 4 years ago. Is Trump overwhelmed or was he bullshitting us from day one? A little bit of both. I think this foreign policy regime is exactly what he was planning from the beginning. And that makes me really sad. Stoyanovich says the world was better when there were two superpowers that played by established rules. Now the U.S. has sacked the rules since there's no threat. That's what John Bolton keeps thinking, that there's no threat. There's threat. So can I quantify how we are? No. Well, yeah. $41 trillion in near current liabilities, depending on how you do the accounting. Not good enough. You don't have to fix the system all at once, El Vaquero. El Vaquero says that no one knows how to fix this system without pain. That's true. No, that's not. That's true. But you don't have to fix it all at once. You don't have to fix it all at once. But you do have to have the right ideas to actually fix stuff. And the more you really unpack what Trump is selling, it's not going to fix shit. It's going to make it worse. See, his mercantilism was fine if he was going to draw down the empire, because that's where most of the money goes. Okay? That's where most of the leverage is. I think the world would listen to would live with the United States for a few years running some mercantilist scam if we pulled all the troops home and stopped trying to impoverish everybody in this grand power zero-sum game bullshit that we keep peddling. They would have traded that. They were begging for it. They were begging us, just do this. And then let's trade. Trump did. And co-opted. Tom says, Ron Paul used to draw crowds in tens of thousands at the stadiums for his campaign speeches. It was an organic movement. I sometimes wonder if Trump saw that and simply co-opted it. He did. I think he actually had, I honestly still think that Trump meant well. I just think he's I think he's just got a head full of bad ideas. Why is Bolton underestimating Russia and China so badly? He's not. What he's reminding everybody is that we have the nuclear capability to destroy life on Earth, and he's going to use it, and he's going to use it as leverage to get what he wants. That's what he's doing. Never forget that. That our spread pattern nuclear arsenal is so devastating, and no one has a counter to it, because there is no counter to it, except that it can't be delivered at long range anymore. It has to be delivered up close and personal, because anti-missile systems are so good today. That's why they want the INF treaty torn down. That's why they want Ukraine so bad. Literally, in order to be able to nuke Moscow, we need to put missiles in Ukraine. We are headed for a multipolar world. People whispering in his ear are only part of the problem. Trump's head is full of baby boomer myths. Said it on this channel before, continue to say it. All right, we're 52 minutes. They really do believe that they're John Bolton is running the Crazy Ivan thing. I am going to nuke you unless you give me what you want. Putin's going to have to teach John Bolton a lesson. What Putin is doing is he's hopefully playing for time with all of this to allow the United States to destroy itself before this ever happens. Problem is that financial wars always start first, and then real wars start. Pompeo and Bolton. User 13. I never thought I'd live to this age. I always thought we'd all be dead from the bomb. Now that I'm getting old, I'd like to keep living. Yeah, you and me both. You need to get the fuck out of my head. One. Sometimes you say stuff that I'm like, why haven't I said that before? I mean that with all due respect. Yeah, a moment of silence for John McCain's brain tumor. I know, Mike Bernard, that Bolton could be more wrong. Yeah, they want nukes in Ukraine. That's the goal here. Putin, Reagan, and Russia is Reagan. Putin equals Reagan, and Russia is now playing the part of the U.S., and the U.S. is playing the part of the USSR. Yeah. He's going to try and bankrupt us through more defense spending, bust the budget, and destroy the credit markets. Putin's crafty. Putin's not going to get Bolton an inch. Not an inch. Yeah, because giving nukes to Nazis is such a good idea. Oh, no, it's not like the Ukrainian army will have any, the Ukrainian armed forces will have access to these. No, they will not. There will be American troops stationed in Ukraine manning those systems. They're not that fucking crazy. No, the Russians will not let that happen in Ukraine. That will never happen. That's why the Donbass is so important. That's why Ukraine opening up shelling of from Mariupol. It's going to continue. Putin knows that if he blinks, we're all dead. He won't blink. These guys are, and the sad part of that is that guys like Trump, and I really believe this. This is why Trump is so dangerous at this point. Trump really believes his bullshit. He really believes that this is the way to make America great again. All he needs is leverage. And that not abiding by terrible sanctions rules. Like for example, there was a report today that they just released, some ultra secret, top secret report that the Russians and the Chinese have been, selling the North Koreans oil against the sanctions and skirting the sanctions and the UN resolutions that they signed and all this. So like, yeah, got news for you, fuckheads. We're going to sell oil to the North Koreans so that they don't fucking freeze to death. Because fuck you, you don't get to tell everybody in the world what the fuck to do. How's that? Period. How about fuck you? Because that's kind of what needs to be said, as fuck you. You want to play that game? You want to play the game? Oh, we're going to play this in the media, and this is going to give us this is going to give us all the ammunition we need to prove to our base that we should be nuking the fucking Chinese or the Russians or whomever over fucking oil? Are you fucking kidding me? Because John Bolton's scared that North Korea will have a functional economy? Because, look, here's the thing. Ready? You believe in a great powers. This is the last thing I'm going to say before I leave. You believe in a great powers doctrine. You believe that in order for the United States to achieve anything, everybody else has to be ground into paste because it's a zero-sum game. Great powers don't fight over little things. And North Korea is a little thing. Venezuela is a little thing. They cannot even give an inch on anything. John Bolton won't give an inch on anything. Anything that the Russians try to do positively has to be countered. We're right back to where we were in the Cold War. Unlimited amounts of intervention around the world. Unlimited amounts of we're going to go into fucking Africa. Are you kidding? What are we going to do? Spend $15 million in Africa? We're going to browbeat African leaders to not accept billions of dollars from the Chinese? What the fuck is wrong with these people? What world do they live in? Yeah, the nuclear bomber is going to Venezuela or nothing. Yes, north on 60, you're absolutely right. It's like Bolton, Pompeo, and Trump think that they can order people to freeze to death in order to get what they want. Well, I want denuclearization. This is how I'm going to... And then Bolton says, well, this is how you have to do it, Mr. President. Because the North Koreans won't give an inch otherwise. Because they'll go for... Yeah, they'll go for a nuclear weapon because you people have been trying to regime change them for 75 fucking years. Russia will never fold. Everything about the Russian military is designed to operate no farther than 1,000 kilometers from Russia. Russia has no force projection capability. How about we convince the Chinese that driving South African whites off the farms is a bad idea? That would be useful in Africa. It would be. They're all going to Russia. All right. That's an hour one. That sounds like a show. I can't do this anymore. Too many black pills. You guys have a good weekend. It's been the Gold Ghost and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. And for those of you on Periscope who did not participate or could not participate, sorry. If you like what you heard tonight, I don't really care. At this point, I don't really know if you did or you didn't. Give a like and subscribe down below. Everybody who showed up tonight, you guys were killing it. You're awesome. Really enjoyed it. As always, have a great weekend. Keep your stick on the ice.